think you're pretty happy with that. So maybe we actually do get a bit of a swap up here where they ban the Volley Bear in hopes of being able to first pick that Wukong in the next rotation, because Renata gone, Zeri gone. It means that if you ban the Volley here and aim for a Wukong first pick, well, then you either get your hands on Kalista or you get your hands on the Wukong. But not going to be the case. Instead, it's going to be Ahri taken away from Yeji.
So Yeji not getting that one there, as the Kalista is still up and available. LGD did ban the Nautilus on their rotation last time around. They obviously do not have the same luxury as first pick as they did in Game 1, but should they decide they want to try and go for that combination again, I wouldn't be surprised to maybe even see them go with a Kalista ban. And actually, no, going to stick with the Gangplank. So, dropping the Nautilus for the Zeri and sticking with the Gangplank.
Yeah, so I think you still take the Kalista here, and then you can lean in towards the Nautilus. Maybe they just favor the Wukong for Khan, but I think the Kalista is such a strong pick. Chances are LGD are going to go for the Aphelios in response. Maybe they try and take the Nautilus away with it, because I think that's what Crisp is going to be trying to eye up for a parry with this Kalista. But the big thing is that when we usually see Aphelios as an answer to the Kalista, it's in tow with the Renata, where you can start to play very aggressive as the Aphelios, and Renata can kind of keep you safe. So it becomes very hard for Kalista to try and win out and time the rend properly in that matchup. But perhaps see exactly what the plan is here for LGD.
Well, it looks like the plan right now is to first pick themselves a Gnar for Fearness on that top side. So curious to see where they want to kind of go for here. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them go for a AD carry here and then leave that last pick. You do tend to see jungle picked up here on second rotation on red side, but no real pressure, to be perfectly honest, to take the Wukong. It definitely felt like LGD didn't really mind either way. They actually go with the Tam Kench over the Senna. So they're going for
Senna.
Full... Yeah.
Chris, be a boss. Take the Senna.
I was going to say, just take the Senna, and it's totally fine.
It would actually be hilarious if they did, because honestly, like, TK not exactly the most aggressive lane. And a lot of the aggressive lanes are already taken off the board. You can get a ton of poke, but I just think that the ability to try and set up this Kalista is going to be out of the question if you take the Senna. So I don't think we'll see it. I still think we'll probably go back towards an Enchanter here, because you see the Tam Kench picked up, but I'm curious to see what the plan is. I mean, honestly, you could go for a Yuumi here, especially if you've got the counter pick for being in the top lane with this Aurelia. Like, an Aurelia with the Yuumi could actually be really strong, and just the Yuumi being able to hop around with the Kalista as well isn't the worst in the early stages.
No, especially as well when you're able to kind of get into the later stages. But Fofo, we talked about this. Fofo picking up things like the Corki and the Azir. He's going to favor into the Azir here. Says, look, there's nothing else they can really take. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind to see the Lissandra picked up here for LGD. I feel like they are a bit pigeonholed in taking the Senna, because if you're leaving those two bans open, you could just ban away the Senna and the Jinx on the second rotation here. But yeah, still plenty of options available here for LGD. They could go with the Aphelios as well. So they're actually not going to go with the Senna at all. Getting in that Aphelios, saying, look, Assum can do well on this pick and has the safety of the Tam Kench as well.
Yeah, the reason I've kind of talked about this across a couple of series. I just hate seeing Azir with Kalista. Kalista wants to play aggressive for neutral objectives on the bottom side of the map. She wants to be able to use that presence to go and do stuff, but Azir doesn't offer you a huge amount in early skirmishes, so he doesn't really want to try and play for the Dragon. You can't use the lane prio to try and work towards that objective, but I just think it causes a split in identity between the Azir and the Kalista is exactly what you want to do in these early stages. And LGD, if they go for something a little bit more aggressive in the mid lane, like a Sylas, which unfortunately BLG is going to ban away, or even that Lissandra that you were pointing out, Usheen, as well, I think that could honestly be where we end up having LGD with a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, we'll see what the final ban's going to be there from LGD. They do ban away the Amumu, which has been rising in prominence in recent days. Of course, got the buff on 12-12. The Nautilus being taken away from Crisp, so he doesn't quite get his hands on that one. But like you said, the Yuumi is still available should they want to go for it. I will say Crisp's champion pool tends to lean towards more playmakers. He doesn't seem to be the kind of player that likes to just sit back, relax, and let other people do the heavy lifting for him. So I'm not sure if that will fit with his particular style. And for BLG, I feel like you still got to ban the Lissandra. I think getting it onto Yeji would be a huge mistake. And yep, they banned that one away. They had an opportunity to make sure they can limit him, and they do just that.
Yeah, I think the Rakan is going to be the best option here for Crisp. I think it just fits super well against something like the Tan Kench. Very mobile, so it makes it difficult for LGD to do particularly much. Plus, having that paired with the Kalista is just incredibly strong. And then we can kind of wait to see what Khan wants to go for. Wukong still drifting this far down in the draft. I thought we might see Shadow go towards it, but instead going to go back towards the Viego, which I imagine means we get the Wukong here for Khan. Actually a pretty good matchup for Khan and great engage tool, which BLG are kind of lacking at the moment.
Yeah, and honestly, I love it as well because it tends to be it's kind of a little bit of a call out there from LGD kind of to Khan saying, look, you know, if we take the Wukong, you'll take the Lee Sin, something that you are very comfortable with. And on his debut series, he played exceptionally well with. The Viego, a better matchup into the Lee Sins. They're kind of saying, look, for BLG, you're not quite going to get that particular setup right now unless you really think you can win it. You are kind of baiting them in to say take the Wukong because you have the much better early game setup for them. But for BLG, they do lock in the Rakan. Like you said, Crisp, a fantastic engaged champion. Gives them a lot of agency in that early game as well, should they be able to catch out the Aphelios.
I also love that if you go for a double pairing, well, it's not maybe not the Wukong, could be the Diana, but still fitting into that style of like a ton of CC offered from your support and jungle. It enables Bin so well. So if you actually manage to try and play up towards Bin in the early stages, get him ahead, he's going to be absolutely unstoppable in these fights. The problem though, I will say with the Diana versus the Wukong is that Diana not as strong in these early engages and certainly not going to be able to compete with the Viego in these early points of the game as well. So I think you're going to see Khan take a bit of a back step here and wait for that level 6 before he becomes really active on the map. Even the mid-jungle combo between the Azir and the Diana, a little bit funky to try and operate around.
Yeah, absolutely. And the final pick coming in here for LGD going to be that LeBlanc. So having kill pressure onto the Azir, I will say the Viego-LeBlanc combination, incredibly powerful in that mid lane. And like you said, it's kind of another facilitating champion. You get early push, you're able to open up the map a little bit for support, either on top or bot, or even just comboing with your jungle. And we saw how constantly, you know, Shadow was in the opposition's, side of the half. This is where this team will kind of come alive. I actually really like what LGD have built up for themselves because if BLG can't get things going in that bot side early, they're just going to be kind of like Asim in game 1.
Yeah, it feels like you've got two big lanes you need to get ahead of as BLG, both top side for Bin and also this bottom lane. I think if you leave the bot side alone though, you should be able to get advantages in that bot lane with the Kalista being able to play very aggressive. You've got the range advantage in the support matchup, and I think you should be able to be totally fine. So I feel like putting a lot of your attention towards this top side and facilitating Bin is going to be your best bet, even if it's not a case of like going into the lane and actually trying to kill this Gnar. If you can just get vision control in that top side, make sure that Bin is able to play as aggressive as you want, because you have to play like a goddamn lunatic on this Aurelia or this matchup doesn't work.
Yeah, straight up. You have to be risky. You have to go for it. And there's someone where you feel confident enough in saying, we'll throw it all at the wall and see what sticks. It's got to be
just
Bin.
a lunatic.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You know what? It's just, that's literally it. It's just Bin. This is his style of champion. This is something that he needs to be able to do and work with. I will say that it's going to be a little bit difficult for him if he doesn't get the resources like you said. So we expect to see Khan focusing up towards that top side. Maybe if Fofo could just kind of hold the mid lane so that LeBlanc can't get out. That's all he can really do in this early game. But we'll have to wait and see. No more hypothesizing, no more theories. BLG versus LGD. LGD 1-0 up in the series. And BLG looking to equal it back, or will LGD take themselves a 2-0? It's all here and now. And honestly, this feels like a massive series for both these squads. We talked about it right at the start of the day. You don't have many series coming up. Like, you're on to this is the 8th series now for BLG. This is going to be the 7th series for LGD. If you're only sitting on 1 win of LGD after 7 series, that's dire.
Sorry, I got completely distracted because Rising just threw down the spear for Crisp as the invade was coming through, and you could just see Crisp going, oh god, instantly running away to a bush. I was like, oh god, this is going to go very south very quickly. But I do agree. I think on both sides of the equation, the fact that you're sitting so far down the table with, I mean, we're coming to the second half for a split now. You really need to start picking up these wins, and especially for a team like BLG that invested so much in this roster and there's been so much chopping and changing, you need something to start working your way.
You do indeed. And now with both junglers starting on their blue buffs respectfully, we are going to see Khan go towards that bot side. We'll see Shadow aiming up towards the top. Unless we do see a little bit of vertical jungling, which we did see in game 1. We did see a full clear into a basically bot side invade coming out from LGD. Not expected really on the Viego at this side of the matchup. Does have a better skirmishing power, like you mentioned, against the Diana, but not really wanting to try and go into long extended pushes unless he has perfect priority in both mid and bot.
I'm curious to see now how this top side matchup is going to play out. I like the early ward that Shadow put into that top side because honestly, the level 1 from Fairness, you need to be able to play very far up in this lane because one of the big things you got to be worried about playing against Aurelia is if she can get the quad Q start where she Qs to 3 minions that are low at the start and then instantly Qs onto you and she fully stacks her passive and gets a ton of damage off. So already you can see that LGD kind of aware of how this matchup in the top side plays, and because they put that early ward there, it meant that Fairness could continue to auto attack, push Bin out of the lane, and at least get some advantage in this top side initially, which when you're looking at Fairness trying to get control and trying to buy a little bit of time in this early game before Shadow's able to play, Khan is able to play up towards his top side on Diana. I think it's going to help out massively. Even Fairness, you can see there, crashing wave 3. So now he gets the reset and gets a bit of an easier time with the boots on. I imagine he's going to pick up in this lane.
Yeah.
A second Doran's blade.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's a mistake. I think you
feel,
need to go
yeah,
towards Doran's shield.
Yeah, because it doesn't stack. The passives don't stack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that feels bad for Fearless right there. So, in case you are aware, or are not aware, you do want, if you can pick up multiple Doran's items, but you cannot pick up the same one multiple times. It does not stack the passive. You do not get extra value out of that. So you generally see either a Doran's Blade into a Doran's Shield, even sometimes depending on the champion. Something like Volibear top a while ago used to go Doran's Ring into a Doran's Shield, as we do see bot lane just being tit for tat here. Crisp does not quite get the trade back that he particularly wanted. Shadow now here. We'll see the flawless duet coming out here. Has been thinking about maybe going forward, but he knows that he doesn't have priority. His jungler's on the bot side of the map, and he doesn't really know where anyone is.
Yeah, I mean, this wave is going to be bouncing out for Fearless, so it should be all right. Bot side here, in a good trade.
Yeah, very good trade. They do have the Gravitum here as well, so they're going to be able to get the Cleanse and Exhaust right down. So now Bin in the top side is going to be in a 2v1. Fearness flashes away, but Bin gets himself the kill. Still keeps his flash available to him as well. Undeterred. Very nicely done there by BLG's top laner.
Really nice job by Bin to get there. And the fact he walks away with flash in back pocket is fantastic. Now, both top laners should be able to TP back into lane, so it means that Bin should still be able to crash this wave. Now with a Vamp Scepter and also the dagger as well, he's going to be in such a good spot now to continue to punish Fearness.
Well, Tom Kent gets knocked up here. Jin Zhao going to have to try and run away from this one here. The heal comes out from Asum to save his top laner. Crisp needs to be a little bit careful. Does have the battle dance to get himself back to safety on top of his AD carry. But yeah, great start here for Bin. It's exactly what you said you wanted to see here from BLG. They're getting themselves set up, and this could be another dive coming in. Bin needs to be a bit careful, though. This tower is ramping up, and a hop, skip, and a jump means that Fearness says, thank you very much. You've lost that big advantage you just had.
What?
You all right, Dagda? You okay?
I'm so confused.
Need a hug?
I need to get my why? like there was no way you were gonna win that trade, like, ever. But I don't know. Anyway, really good play here from Fearness, where you can see like stacks up the passive pretty much instantly, gets the damage reduction off the W as well. Right as Shadow's going for this for his follow-up damage, but I mean here. I really just don't understand. Like, you just don't have the damage to try and finish this up. The Q as well, like, I'm mind boggled. Maybe he hasn't played this. Honestly, like, not even joking. Maybe he hasn't played this matchup post durability change and just thought that he could go for the dive. But yeah, that's bizarre.
And it equals up back on that top side, which is a bit unfortunate. Khan will be popping that Scryer's Bloom to make sure that he knows that Fearness isn't getting his reset off just yet. You can see with Bin just trying to keep this wave at a very undesirable spot for Fearness. Fearness really wants to try and get that crash going, but very difficult when you can see there's so many minions there for Bin to be able to stack off of. Does get access to his ultimate as well. Khan Going to be chased down a little bit here by Shadow. They do have LeBlanc here, so I think Khan might be in a lot of trouble here. He's going to be forced to flash. He does have the Blast Cone, but he's been locked down by the Ethereal Chains. They're still pushing forward. The flash in. I don't know if he's going to be able to survive. I think the answer is he's not. Now they might turn on to Fofo. Fofo gets the good Emperor's Divide coming out, but no Heartbreaker available for Shadow. He wants to try and use it to get away, but he just doesn't have the resources available to him. He will be taken down. Fofo picks up that kill. This is a strange game, Dagda.
Shadow really didn't need to pick up that soul. Like, he just didn't. And the fact that he did end up costing him, because at least if you're in the Viego, you've got like the Maw to try and move away, bit of a dash, bit of movement speed that you can pick up off of your shadows as well. But yeah, the fact he did a self-CC'd Shadow and just set up perfectly for Fofo to knock him underneath the tower. So we'll say a few upsies here and there across the board, but at least that means we're at 2-2. Gold is pretty much even across the board. Only difference maker here is that LGD do get that dragon because the shenanigans that were in the top side.
Honestly, that's kind of big there for LGD. BLG having the Callista, you would always assume will have priority, and not getting that particular objective so early does mean they're not going to have as early fights going for them, or at least not being able to force such early fights in, you know, kind of the dragging, stacking away. So very nicely done there by LGD's bot lane to recognize the push came in for them. They didn't need to try and contest them underneath the tower, and they can just take themselves a free objective.
Yeah, it was just the timing window was really well played by LGD. So if you look at the items that have been picked up, Ryze actually pushed in that bot wave second. So Aston was coming a little bit late off the reset because you have the longsword advantage there for the Callista. So because Ryze was in second, LGD managed to bounce the wave, push it in, and move across the dragon. So just using a really nice window there to set themselves up for that.
Very nice indeed. And this is going to be a good start right now for both sides, as my feed has just killed itself. So Dagda, I'm gonna leave you to play-by-play for a second.
All right, I got it. Well, Phoenix has just turned into Mega Gnar on top side, so not really in a position for LG to contest. They're going to back away from this Rift Tower, which will give Khan the opportunity to pick that one up. They're going to try and respond by a dive on the bot side. So Shadow and Yeji moving down here. Ryze and Crisp seem to be aware of this, but they're a bit late.
They are very late, as Crisp now gonna get caught up here by the Ethereal Chain, gets brought in by the Fates Call. There's gonna be some decent spears into Shadow. He gets knocked up as well. The Moonlight Vigil completely whiffs there from Assum. Shadow still getting pushed down as Fofo trying to join the fight, but can't really do much onto this LeBlanc. LeBlanc playing bodyguard away from this one. Good mitigation of the dive there from BLG as they keep themselves and their bot laners safe.
And the fact that they get the majority of this wave as well is incredibly important. You do not want to be falling behind as Ryze in this matchup. So managing to kind of keep everything in check. BLG managing to get the dragon, the Rift Herald, and prevent any sort of counterplay from LGD is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, really, really well played there from BLG. LGD still pushing forward and looking to make as much as they possibly can happen. I like this from Assum, just kind of saying, look, we've got the pressure bot side, let's just keep putting them in, pushing them underneath their tower. And it's still very even in this bot lane. I think the Aphelios has had a very decent time as Yeji recognizes that this blue buff isn't there and available, but he doesn't know he's been spotted out on a ward. So Fofo knows that he's here. It's all about who knows what and what you know or you don't know.
That you know, that I know, that we know, that he knows, that I don't know. I gotta go last.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, but on the counterpoint of this, the big advantages that we're looking at on either side is going to be for BLG top side, right? Even with the funky business that Ben is going for, he still has a massive CS lead over the Gnar, and I expect them to try and keep this positional advantage on this top end of the map. The other advantage for LGD is going to be in the mid lane. A little bit of advantage opening up for G. Should be able to TP back in here, but BLG going to try and counter-respond with this Rift Herald in the mid lane.
Yeah, Rift Herald goes down. TP comes out here from the G, but Crisp just gets stunned up just a little bit. Still has the battle dance to be able to get himself back out to safety. So it's only going to be the 2 plates going over to BLG. That's all going to be confirmed there as Yeji takes down Shelly. And now we start to wait now. A minute and a half to this next dragon. LGD would love to secure that one for themselves, give themselves another win condition.
Right, I will say I'm just not the biggest fan of them using the Rift Herald in the mid lane, though. I feel like you've got both the Irelia that would have loved to been able to use that gold to snowball this matchup even harder, or even on this bottom side as well, get some advantages for this Callista in the matchup, because I think from pretty much every person in this game, Fofo is the person that will scale regardless of what he needs to do in this mid lane, and the matchup is totally fine. So I actually think a bit of a mistake from BLG. This is where we talk about like Fofo kind of warping the way that BLG play a little bit because he feels like he needs to be the carry and he needs to get the resources, and you're seeing it here where he's obviously calling for that Rift Tower to be used mid, where I think either side lane could have benefited more.
Yeah, maybe we've been able to get a little bit more should you be able to kind of force the issue. As we can see now that Shadow just trying to be a little bit of a nuisance in the jungle here. But now, yeah, G on the spot side, recognizing that there is no Rakan. Darts himself back to his effigy and to his distortion starting point. And now they kind of back themselves up. 20 seconds till that dragon spawns, and BLG have priority top, but they don't have priority in the bot lane, and mid lane just kind of being sorted out right now by Fofo. But looks like BLG are trying to force this out immediately as they do get the Moonlight Vigil coming out with the Moonfall. They get the Devourer out here, and they're going to try and get everybody out as quick as they possibly can. Jin Zhao did everything he possibly could to keep Asim alive, and he does just that. Bin gets a solo kill on the top side, should be able to survive as he's level 10, and that's going to be 2 kills over to BLG.
Really nice from BLG. The Blade of the Rune King coming in clutch there for Bin and adding the slows, adding that extra little bit of healing so he can tank on the Terra. Now Shadow
looking for something here. A lot was used in that bot side, don't forget, so got to be very aware of the resources you no longer have. Asim is now back here, and Jin Zhao's on his way. You will have a teleport for Fearness, and this dragon has been started. Yeji now puts himself into a position to try and maybe put down some poke, but they're not really in a position to try and contest this. It's just going to be a little bit of posturing, and BLG should secure it. They might look for the fight afterwards, though. Khan taking a fair bit of damage, and here comes Asim. He's got himself green and white, so he's looking for a good fight. They're nearly going to catch out Khan, who's forced to flash away. There's a good Emperor's Divide. His Shadow has to flash away. They end up all getting out with their lives, but it's very scrappy right now. LGD still lose the dragon.
2 flashes being burnt on Khan and Rise to get away from that, but at least the dragon is going to be a nice pickup for them. You're still getting Bin abusing that top side as well, nearly getting another kill onto Fearness. This is actually his Fearness gets back to lane, so this is the initial engage, and I feel bad for Fearness. Fortunately, just moving that bit too far away from Terror. Burns the flash because he thinks he's about to get stunned, but it only means that Bin is able to follow up nice and easily underneath the Terror.
I'll say, though, with the delayed recalls coming out from BLG, it does mean that... Oh, Fearness. Fearness!
He's so dead.
Goodbye, good friend, goodbye. I don't know. Bin's actually waiting a long time. Actually, maybe Fearness just gets away with this. Yeah, maybe it's not goodbye. Maybe it's hello.
Hello, Khan, who's now decided to move up here. And it's making this a little bit uncomfortable again for Fearness, but it doesn't matter. I mean, 40 CS lead in this top side for Bin. Terror meant to go down as well. You're already a full item there, and BLG trying to respond.
Another Devourer has to be used here to keep Asim alive. They do get the Gravitum down to try and lock down Chris, but you can see just how hard it is to really do the damage they want. And now with these spears starting to wrap up here for Rise, he's almost getting on top of him. He gets the cleanse down, but he's already been taken out. It was all so good until it was all so bad as LGD pick up 2 on the bot side. 2 kills going over to Asim.
A nice attempt from Rise, but unfortunately just 3 members of LGD are too strong. BLG should get this mid lane tower though, and also having that top lane turret go down means that Bin now will rotate onto this bottom side of the map. And maybe he can continue pressing forward, because I'm looking at the items he's picking up, going for that Sunfire Cape. Bin is, Sunfire Aegis even, Bin is completely happy to just go for this full tank and continue to dive narrow underneath the tower. But great engage from Crisp here, forces the ultimate out from Jin Zhao. And then Rise kind of thinking, hey, look, you know, Shadow has disappeared. Maybe we can make the play with how low Asim is, but not expecting him to kind of wrap around here and getting caught out then just on the edge of that stun. Maybe if the stun hadn't landed, he would have been okay. But then with the Shadow damage coming through, Rise is just taken off the board.
Now Asim is getting pretty big right now. 2 kills is pretty significant coming into this, you know, mid-game or early mid-game, I should say. He's gonna have himself a second item probably before this next dragon spawns, so very nicely done. This Kalista priority is kind of what you said. You don't really get that priority when you don't have options with the Azir to kind of bounce down, as we can see. Speaking of bouncing, not quite able to get onto Yeji. His Bin is starting to get pretty damn big. Like you said, going for that Sunfire Aegis alongside that Blade of the Ruined King. And yeah, no one can contest him solo.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem, is that because he's also gone for this more tanky build, he actually has the potential to dive Fearness underneath tower when he's in Mega Gnar. Fearness will be a long way from getting any sort of resistances, so I like the game plan that Bin has come in with, and now he just becomes a complete threat on a side lane that LGD have to respect because of the dive potential he can go for solo. So LGD, you can already see, trying to maneuver around who's actually positioned against Bin, yeah, G going to take on that mantle, but again, like, I actually see a world where if Bin can just close the gap using creeps, he can potentially get onto yeah, G and kill him.
I mean, he's a full Blade the Ruined King, a Mythic and a Blade the Ruined King ahead of Fearness, so like, it's just very, very difficult here. Fearness will have some very decent teamfight prowess, but if you leave Bin alone on these tier 2s, he'll take them almost instantly, and it's kind of becoming a bit of an issue. I will say, though, for BLG, all of their gold lead is basically on this Aurelia.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bin, we already talked about, is going to be an absolute menace. I think that's the... A win condition you can probably rely on here is Shadow. I'm going to see what he can do, but, I mean, look, this is what I mean.
Oh, yeah, he goes back in. Actually, the distortion's good here. Bin's actually underneath the tower, taking a hell of a lot of damage. We'll be able to mitigate a little bit of it, and the TP comes out here for Yeji. No one was actually following him, funny enough, but he doesn't want to try and risk absolutely anything. That's going to be the bot lane tier 1 going down here in favor of BLG, and they should be able to get another push here with Shelly as well onto the tier 2.
Yeah, they should be totally fine to go for this. And, I mean, you can see the value that Bin is getting out of this Mythic choice, because don't forget as well, on 12-11, that these tank items were buffed to have more health. And as well, just the fact now that you can basically dive against anyone without the potential of being one-shot is going to work out great. Even in team fights, which BLG are looking for, he's going to be big.
Fofo's got to be careful, though, as we can see now. Crisp and Rise need to be very difficult to them to try and get out of this. Rise gets caught and killed. Crisp's going to have to battle dance after using the quickness. That's a lot of resources you no longer have now for this dragon. This is a bit of an issue here for BLG.
Great combo from Massam, but now LGD going to see if they can pick up a little bit more.
They're looking for more, but the reset's going to be coming in here for Fofo. He should, just about gets himself off, so he's going to be able to TP back into this bot lane, but with no AD carry, it's going to become very difficult to try and DPS this fight out. You do have a TP on Fearness, but no Mega Gnar in sight. He's very much on the little side of this fight. He's going to TP in now. They get a good Scryer's Bloom over across everybody to try and make sure they know where they are. Yeji and Fofo going to find themselves in the back of the pit as the dragon go down. That's secured by LGD, and you don't really have an opportunity here to go for this. Never mind, LGD going to try and find the fight, but it's a great 3-man knockup coming out from Crisp as the Devourer comes out, but it's only onto the Viego. You need to devour the Aphelios, and that's 3 kills for Bin. This Aurelia is unstoppable.
Massive engage coming through from Khan and Crisp, actually able to find so many members of LGD, and sure, the Dragon went down to LGD, but now BLG have control over this bot side. They're going to be able to get this mid lane turret, and they can establish so much control for the Baron, which is about to spawn at the 20-minute mark as well. So really good stuff from BLG.
Really well played. They should be able to get this tier 2 in the bot and mid lane as well. So that's 2 more towers, more gold. It's all of a sudden ballooned up to 5,500. And LGD, they committed to this fight because they thought they had the numbers.
Watch this combo from Aston though. This is something you can do a lot, where you're able to Q, get the initial auto, immediately ult to get the follow-up auto, and so much damage with that Gale Force as well. Absolutely demolishes Rise's health bar. But here, great engage coming through from Khan and Crisp. The several man knock up. Bin gets the stun over the back of it as well, so he manages to follow up perfectly. You can see that BLG were trying to wait for Bin's ultimate to just about come up, but they didn't even need it in the end. Just really good engages from Khan and Crisp to set up that play.
Yeah, and again, very, very unfortunate there from LGD. And these are the little problems we've been talking about for LGD. Pretty much all split. They just overcommit to things. They don't quite get the numbers right, and now honestly, Bin is unstoppable. I feel like you're going to need to put 3 or 4 members, and there's still a chance he still comes out with a kill, even if you do kill him.
And now, again, with just more damage going to be coming through, as you say, the Death Stance is going to be the next item for him. How do you try and contest wherever Bin shows up? Because honestly, at this stage, I think he 1v2s both Fearness and Shadow. Probably Shadow and Yeji as well. So now you need a third person to deal with Bin on this sideline. And if that's the case, Rise, Fofo, they demolish a Baron in no time at all. So you're caught in a catch-22 here as LGD.
Yeah, you really, really are. I will say, I think if you're going to try and take down Bin quick enough, you're going to have to try and maybe commit Asum. But that in itself is a risk because he's very squishy. He will go down very, very quickly. He's the only man who has himself any kind of armor pen to get himself up the Lord Dominic's regards. But like you said, they can see already BLG recognizing that they have the priority over this Baron pit. They know they're the ones that can come out with a win if they can just fortify. I will say though, Bin coming up here does add a little bit more collectiveness here for LGD, as they don't have to worry about that side lane as much.
I think Bin just waiting on that next wave to roam in before he fully commits down towards his bottom side. But I think it's a mistake to not use the fact that Bin is so big on a side lane. Because as you can see, oh, actually, yeah, they're just able to, like, LGD are relatively okay to try and look at it like a 5v5 because Asum is so big. But in a spread out scenario where Asum isn't involved, you can draw so many members of LGD to a side lane. The BLG just immediately will start up the barrel.
This is the big issue, though, for BLG. This is something that we've always kind of criticized them for, their mid-game decision-making, because we just saw on the minimap, thanks to our observers, there's very little, if no vision at all, available to LGD. They're just building back some semblance of it right now as BLG do get the resets, and the longer this takes, the worse it gets because for BLG. You need to be pushing your advantages now. So we see Shadow just kind of pushing himself forward as the one real safe member who can go forward solo and face check these things.
But that's why I don't understand why Rise is doing Krugs, doing Raptors, taking Red, like, take Red, sure, but you need to be out here, like, actually putting pressure on the lanes before you're able to set anything up, because Bin can't solo push bot unless he's got top and mid in position, but it's kind of separated now. Khan was actually the one that pushed it in. About 50 seconds now until Dragon. BLG would love to get a reset, but they haven't actually got it in yet.
Yeah, they went a little bit too early. They've kind of picked up, as you said, all the camps and stuff. You do have a death stance finished up here for Bin, but these waves have been ping-ponged, and this is fine for LGD. They're happy to just accept these waves and get themselves up to a second item, maybe even a third here for Asum. And because they have 2 dragons as well, there's no real reason for them to contest this next Drake in 30 seconds. They can continue to put their focus on this Baron pit and say, look, we don't care about the dragons right now because we've got so much time, even if you try and stack them.
I feel like they're just going to send Bin back to do it as well. He'll probably crash this bot wave, then he rotates over towards the Dragon. He can solo that one out, and as long as BLG are always threatening on towards the Baron, if you ever try and commit towards stealing the Dragon as LGD, well then BLG just take Baron. So I think you're, again, kind of caught here as LGD. Looks like actually it's just going to be Rise who moves over to take the Rift Herald instead.
Again, but like you said, it feels like it's just delaying the game a little bit more. Like, yes, the gold lead's not going anywhere. It's still very much there, but Bin just trying to see if he can maybe catch out Fearness here. As the Dragon does eventually go down. That's 2 dragons apiece. Still only a 5,500 gold lead. As finally Fearness does realize that Bin is in the brush. He does get himself stacked up, but there's going to be the Mega Gnar to back himself away. And yeah, this is fine for BLG, but I kind of feel like I need more.
I mean, very, very slow game plan here from BLG, and as you say, I mean, Asum now nearly up towards his 3rd item. He's going to become a bit of a menace now in these next fights. Chris will get spotted by Shadow, but just going to back away.
Gotta be careful. They're still trying to take away some of these resources, but the ward shall be killed, Dagda. It shall go down.
Yeah, I mean, again, but like for BLG, they aren't really syncing up their waves here correctly. Like, look at where Fofo's wave now is, as Bin is about to crash a wave on bot side. So it's very easy for LGD to start drifting and leaning back and forth across the map, so that then they can always threaten some of these these plays on towards the towers. Even not having mid control as well makes it very, very tough for them. So the wave management just not quite in sync here, is maybe now with Bin roaming up.
But already Khan taking a huge chunk of his health off of that particular trade there with G. They will be able to try and put down pressure onto this tier 2 and top side. G not quite able to push forward here onto the Diana Fofo combination. And now Crisp here with Rise. They're kind of angling for a little bit of a fight. Don't forget, Bin, as you mentioned, is in the mid lane. He's the one who's going to be the big carry for the side of BLG. You've got Fearness in bot lane pushing that one up, but he does have Mega Gnar. He could TP in, but everyone just kind of backs themselves away. Again, nothing really happening here. Fofo down to about half HP. As Yeji, he's on a LeBlanc. You still have to respect the damage.
Yeah, a good amount of poke that can come through from LGD as Jinjiao will spot the resets.
Oh, Crisp, he's all by himself now. Oh, does have the battle dance. That was very, very dangerous. But again, we're seeing, I really don't like this from the side of BLG, because they're spending so much time and resources to get vision control on this top side, and then they're not doing anything with it.
And the thing is that LGD are perfectly happy to have that. Okay.
We're going to see a TP coming in. That's going to be a double TP. Fofo and Bin are here. Asum flashes away. Does have the Gale Force as well, but they found their pick. Finally, they see the opportunity, and BLG take out the major carry of LGD.
You're getting in behind Asum there. Asum saw the resets and thought he was safe, but one ward managed to slip through the ranks, and now BLG turned directly over towards the Baron. Shadow is still alive, though, so this could just be a flip.
A little bit of a burger flip right now if you do end up going for it. I will say it's a bit more 70-30 in the favor of BLG. If they can sync up the Rend with the Smite, it should be a secure for them, but you never know sometimes with these teams. As BLG now looking for a Bin, goes in onto YeG, who might be forced to go away off of this fight, but you can see Fearness kind of keeping everyone away. Shadow goes in with the Heartbreaker. They're looking to try and maybe take out Khan before he can go for it. He's not quite in position to take this one and ends up going down for his troubles. The Rend will come out as Khan gets himself a Smite, and 2 more kills go over to BLG alongside the Baron.
Great call from Bin to get out of the pit and play bodyguard on the backside, because it made it impossible then for LGD to just take and play that slow and look for the steal. You know that you are going to run out of the shadows eventually for Shadow, so Bin just waiting there for the Viego to show, and then eventually able to cut him down before he can even threaten a steal.
Now we're going to start to see BLG ramp this up, or at least I hope we will, because this isn't a moment here, as I say that. YeG, oh, he doesn't get the first distortion down. If he literally hits that, Ryze is dead.
Yeah, it was so incredibly close to finishing off the Kalista. Now, Asum hiding in the wings, but again, I think BLG gonna have to look for a reset.
I mean, you got Meganar very soon, and Asum is, as you say, sitting in the wings. They're trying to kill off Bin. If they can get this Baron buff off of the Aurelia, it could just delay the game that little bit more again. They're looking for something to flash in. It's exactly what they're going for. They're going to try and jump into Asum, but Bin has already been CC'd up, knocked up, is in the bounce house, and can he get away? He cannot. You've lost one of your big split pushers there, but while that was all happening, Khan's taking matters into his own hands and pushing in mid lane.
Yeah, resets are going to come through though, so he will get the inhibitor, but honestly, big win for LGD. You nailed it with the Baron buff being gone off a bit. Oh wait, they're going to kill Khan. Khan does need to get out of here.
He needs to get out of there, but a TP coming in from Fearness, and Khan is dead. BLG, what has happened? What has happened?
Oh my God.
You cannot lose the Baron like this. You did everything you could, and now you've only got 2 Barons left.
They've lost all the Barons, and Asum got 1,000 gold shutdown coming through from Bin, a massive shutdown coming through off of Fofo. He's just gone from having like 2.5 items to probably being very close to having like 3.5, if not a 4th item already completed just off the back of that. And just as Dragon is about to spawn as well, this is a disaster. BLG needed to reset earlier, and I love this from Fearness. Look, he just knows that he needs to get this play down. The CC is far too strong. Asum very lucky with the guns that he had that he's able to heal through that damage. But this is huge. And so 1,000 gold shutdown there. I didn't get to see how much of a shutdown was on Fofo as he comes through with this, but he also got the kill onto Khan as well. So how much? So that's a 300 gold, and then Fofo goes in. Is that 400 gold shutdown?
So 1,700.
1,700 gold just off that play. And look, you can see it there. Like 3 and a bit items already completed now for Asum. He is huge on the Aphelios now. That is such a massive blunder from BLG.
And you can see what they wanted to do there on BLG. The idea was there. It was like, okay, we got the push in mid. That's fine. Honestly, if they lose Khan there, it's okay. It's a bit unfortunate, but it's not the worst deal in the history of the world. You pop down the Azir, Shurima's Legacy, you get everyone out. But now you can't really utilize this Baron buff because the Kalista's so short range, as is Crisp, as we can see a quickness coming out. Khan going to be here. We're going to see the Heartbreaker used to try and mitigate the Emperor's Divide. Great 3-man Moonfall, but it might be too little too late. There's a good Devourer. Now Khan, he's left there to try and flash away. They're getting a little bit desperate here, Dag. I think BLG have kind of seen the writing on the walls.
Well, they didn't fight with Bin. Bin is the carry for BLG right now, and he was only walking up mid lane, but BLG still trying to force, and this is why I was saying with Khan, I haven't been fully convinced with how good he was in the last series, because I think he's been a little bit over eager to make plays happen, not respecting where the rest of his team is or the ultimates that are on his team. And a great example of it there, he goes in, so now no flash, no moonlight visual. LGD get to use their defender's advantage to quickly heal up, and everyone on BLG now has to take the long walk back to threaten these lanes, but you're getting super creeps piled in towards, you know, extra items onto Asum, who's now completed his Ruined Hurricane. Extra items onto YeG, who's looking towards that Void Staff. Like, you're giving a lot of time and gold to LGD.
Yeah, and as well as that, like, it was, you know, a 1.5 item against 3 items in the top lane of Bin versus Fearness. Now it's going to be 2.5 items versus 4, and you're kind of waiting for that, you know, critical mass point here for Bin, where yes, he's huge, but people will start to be tanky enough to deal with him. People will start to have enough damage to burst him out should he go too far forward, and now like you said, the resources are being pumped in. It's a full Infinity Edge between the side of the AD
Dead.
carries, and that's going to be the pick coming in. The Moonlight Vigil doesn't really do a lot of damage. The TP going to be coming in. Chris tries to engage with the quickness and goes straight into the Fate's Call. Great Emperor's Divide to try and separate absolutely everybody. Asum goes down. Shadow hasn't got anywhere to go, and that was the team fight BLG needed.
The fact that Fofo managed to get back on towards Asum with that Emperor's Divide, even Jinzhou getting the Devourer off, didn't matter, and now Fearness left alone against 5 of BLG.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and make something work here with these minions. He's got himself his ultimate available should he want to go for it. But again, you can see which poke he's just taking right now. The Chonk doesn't hit.
Fearness.
His ult misses everything, and Fearness goes down. They haven't got any minions just yet, and now they're going to be able to take out the Diana. So it's going to be a trade of 2 for 1, 3 for 1, and the turrets are next to follow. Crisp doing an absolutely hero's job on this Rakan and keeps this series in it for BLG.
We said that we wanted to see Crisp on those playmakers, and he has done incredibly well with them. The Nexus will fall before Asum comes up, and BLG will push us to the game 3.
Another game here for BLG as LGD not quite able to take out Khan right at the end. And again, like you said, the fact that Fofo was able to get onto the backside to knock Asum into all those gracious